So I'm 21 and I'm married. I know, it's crazy. Also, my hair is pink, so that's cool. I'm married to a very good person. Not to brag or anything, but he's a great man. He's one of the best men I've ever met in my life. Okay, whatever. A lot of people hear me talk about my husband, Emin, and they're like, oh my God, how did you meet him? How did you find him? In the sea of terrible men, how did you find such a good, respectful man who cares for you? So much so that you wanted to marry him at the age of 19. So I'm here to give the people what they want and just tell you guys about all things related to Emin and like how I actually found a good man to be with for the rest of my life. Okay, so I have mental problems and I was attracted to strictly men who hated me when I was a teenager. If you've seen any videos of me talking about guys, you've heard horrible, awful, terrible stories, and I'll kind of elaborate on that in this video, but I've also talked about it in a lot of different ways in other videos. So I'll leave those in the description if you guys want to watch them. But anyway, as a teenager, you know, 16, 17, 18, whatever, I found myself in a lot of awful relationships and always in the position where I felt that I was worthless and that the man was like this prize that I needed to win and this thing that I needed to chase in order to get, and it made me feel like shit all the time. But I kind of started to believe that like that's just what my life was. Like I genuinely thought I was gonna marry one of the guys who I dated who was like so mean to me and such a just horrible person. I don't want to say he's a horrible person, but he was a really, really bad boyfriend to me. Okay. So I was about 18 and I was actually kind of dating this guy in college and we got along really well and we were hanging out. I was his first kiss. It was a short-lived relationship, but like he really, really liked me. Do you guys see my dog? Anyway, he really, really liked me. So I was hanging out with him a lot at the time and I was not thinking about like meeting anybody else. Like I wasn't officially dating him, but I did really like him. So I wasn't really, you know, on the prowl per se. So one day in 2018, I do a concert and I go backstage after the show and I'm actually hanging out with the guy who I was like dating at the time and all my friends are there, whatever. And this random ass kid walks up to me and I was like, hey, and he was like, hi, I'm Emin, nice to meet you. Oh my God. I love this memory. It's so cute because like I didn't know what was gonna happen. Like I had no idea who he was, but he ends up obviously being such an important person in my life. But I digress. He was like, do you like pop punk music? And I was like, yeah. And I kind of like lied to flex a little bit because he was like, oh, what bands do you like? And I like named a bunch of bands that I sort of listened to but didn't really listen to because I wasn't that big of a pop punk fan. But I like wanted to sound cool for some reason. So he was like, oh my God, I love those bands. Like I have a band. Do you want to listen to my music? And I was like, sure. It was so random. And so he like got my Instagram and sent me his music on Instagram. And he was like DMing me after the show. And I didn't really think much of it. I thought he was nice. I thought he was cool. Like I started messaging him, whatever. But again, I was already kind of dating this other guy, so I wasn't really thinking about anything. He sends me his music. It's really good. I like it. I text him back, whatever. We start talking a little bit and then he gets my number over DM. Okay. And this is over the next couple days. And then he starts texting me. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Oh my God. He starts texting me a little bit too much. Oh my God. He starts texting me a little bit too much. Like he's sending me a little too many things in a row. I'm not responding because I'm busy. And he's like texting me again like, hey, bump, did you see this? Hey, and like being a little intense. So I text him one day after like a week of us talking and I'm like, hey, if I don't respond to you, it's because I'm busy and you don't have to text me again, okay? And I felt kind of bad, but like he was being intense. So I was like, you gotta chill out. Okay, so then a couple months later, he asks me to hang out. I don't remember how or when. I think it was super random. Like I was just in my house and he just randomly texted me like, hey, do you wanna hang out? And I was like, sure, you wanna go right now? And he was like really surprised, but we went to Goodwill together. And there's a picture of this. If I find the picture, I'll put it right here. But we go to Goodwill, we go to Starbucks, we're hanging out. It's actually a really fun time. And then I go home. And then I hang out with him again. And I go to his house and I meet his family. And we start to become like genuinely very good friends. And I do start to like him, but it didn't start off as like a romantic thing. It definitely started off as like a friend thing. Like we were hanging out and having a really good time. And since I had been through so much this past, you know, couple years before him, I had never really met a guy who I was like genuinely friends with. I was kind of in shock. Like every guy who I'd ever liked, it was always kind of awkward to hang out with them unless we were like, you know, making out or something. They never really wanted to talk to me or get to know me. They didn't show much of an interest in me. And so it was kind of weird hanging out with him for the first couple times because like we were just friends and he would ask me all these questions about myself that no guy had ever cared to ask me and like genuinely wanted to get to know me, and like I wanted to get to know him and I thought he was so interesting. And I still didn't fully like him. I was kind of just like on the fence, but I started to have like a little bit of feelings for him, whatever. And then he invites me to his concert. So remember, he's in a band. He sent me his music a long time ago. He did a show, like a local show. It was only a few people were coming and I go hang out with him for a while, and it's really exciting because like again, I never really hung out with boys for real. Like I was always just like hooking up with guys or doing dumb little things that weren't fun. And And this was the first time I'd like done something exciting with a guy and like actually been friends, like I said. So I go to his concert, I'm hanging out with him, and then he goes on stage. And guys, let me tell you, I am just vulnerable to talented men. That's not an exaggeration. Like, if a man is talented, he'll be 100 times more attractive to me. And so the second he started performing, I was like, and like, he instantly became so attractive to me. And before I wasn't really that attracted to him. And it was so funny because once he got off the stage, I was like in love with him, like instantly. And we sat next to each other on this couch while all the other bands played after him. And it was really loud in the venue. It was a very small, very loud venue. So we sat on this couch together and we like went on my phone and we were typing and then showing it to each other. We were like obsessed with each other that whole night, just like sitting really close to each other on the couch. And then after the concert, he took me home and we sat in my car outside of my sister's house for like hours. We stayed there till like 4 a.m. and we were just talking. Like, we were holding hands because like I think we kind of acknowledged that we like each other, but we were just talking. And like I said, he was so inquisitive and he genuinely wanted to get to know me, and he was just talking to me for hours, and I was head over heels in love with him. Like, I am convinced I fell in love with him in one night. And then from then on, we hung out every single day. I went to his house every single day. He came to my house. We slept in the same bed every night. We like became inseparable. And like when I met his family, I had never met a family like that. They invited me on all their family trips, and we would go like a couple hours away like every weekend to these little day trips, and like their mom would invite me out to dinner everywhere they went. And so I was just like engrossed in this world, okay? And some of the biggest things that kind of showed me that Emin was such a good person were, number one, that he cared so much about me as a person, but we've been over that. Number two, how honest he was. He never lied to me. He never held anything back. And I felt like he was the most transparent person ever. So many guys I dated before were just like liars and sketchy and like didn't respond to me. They didn't show up. Like, he really showed up for me when nobody else did. And that was like shocking. And then probably the biggest, most important thing is that he was the first person to actually encourage me to be myself. So like, I was Catholic and I was in a band that I didn't like being in, and I was living a life that I didn't enjoy. I was being a person who I wasn't. And he really got to know me and then saw me for who I was from this outside perspective and was like, hey, I don't think you're happy. Like, I don't think you want to do these things you're doing. And a lot of people kind of saw that as like controlling. Like, a lot of people cited that as reasons why he was bad for me for some reason, because like I was changing in the relationship. But I saw it as like the most positive thing in the world, because sometimes you can change for the worse in a negative way, but some changes are good. In this case, I was not being authentic and I was not happy in my life, and without his help, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't be proud of myself today because I would be stuck in something that was just a lie. And then another reason kind of why I knew he was like the best person I had ever met was just his support. After a couple years of us dating, we actually got engaged. We were about to get married super young, and I'll kind of go into that a little bit right after this, like why we decided to get engaged. But I decided to start going through on some of these crazy decisions. I decided to leave the band that I was in. I decided to like leave Catholicism, which like if you grew up Catholic, you know that's kind of a big deal. I decided to do a lot of really scary things, and I was having panic attacks. I was having meltdowns. I was having horrible, awful, traumatizing conversations. I was having like some of the worst times in my entire life. I've never been more sad, depressed, anxious, scared, or anything, any negative emotion than that time of life. And I was lucky to lean on God for a lot of it, but in terms of people here on earth, there was nobody, like not a single soul who was here for me more than Emma. He was just being a vehicle for me to do what I wanted to do, because I did not have a voice. I didn't have a sense of self. I didn't have confidence, and I knew what I wanted, but I was too scared to do it. And he was so confident, and he knew it, that that's exactly what I wanted because it's what I've been telling him. And so he had no problem with like pushing me to do that. And that's honestly the biggest reason why we decided to get married. He kind of knew he wanted to marry me like right after we started dating. He kind of just knew that I was the one, because in his brain, he wasn't really gonna start dating a girl officially until he thought that they would get married. So I was like his first real girlfriend, and he was also like my first real boyfriend, because everybody I dated before was kind of just like a fake relationship. But his parents were just like, hey, like you guys are gonna move in together. Like we were planning to move in together and not get married. You guys are gonna move in together. You guys are smart and you're both very mature for your age and you know what you want. So you might as well just get married. Like marriage is really hard, but you're gonna grow up and you're gonna change regardless, whether you get married now or in 10 years, and you're gonna have to commit to each other regardless, and you're going to have to go through a lot regardless. So if you want to get married, you might as well. And that was like a really shocking, scary decision, and most people really didn't want me to do so, but I felt so confident in it, like just because of the reasons I told you guys. Like I felt 100% supported and loved and cared for and taken care of in every single way. Like even if I was struggling, even if we were struggling, even when we were fighting, like he never disrespected me, he never lied to me, he's never done anything that's like over the line. Even when I have gone over the line, because sometimes I have anger issues, like I get really mad, I get mean, like I've lied to him in our relationship. I've done really bad things to him, things that would normally cause someone to break up with a person, but he stayed by me and like really was loyal to me when he probably shouldn't have been, and gave me that room for growth. And now I've grown past a lot of it, but there's still stuff every single day that we have to go through, and our marriage can be really, really, really hard sometimes, but we both acknowledged from day one that it's about commitment. Some people might say it's an unhealthy mindset, and I don't know if every relationship should have that mindset, because some people are really shitty partners and their partner is just committed to them for no reason. But Emmett and I knew we were good for each other, and so kind of from day one we were like, yeah, let's just commit to each other and not give up on each other, and then we'll stay together, you know? And also something really sweet was that when we first started dating, we were like seriously talking to each other before we kissed, and like before we kind of started our relationship, because both of us were taking it really seriously. And I remember I was like, Emmett, if we start dating and we break up, I just want us to come out of this relationship better people. So if this doesn't work out, I want you and I to know deep in our hearts that we changed each other and we made each other better. And he was like, yeah, same. And we kind of made that commitment from a really early time in our relationship, and we started the relationship with intentions of improving each other and helping each other rather than just being in love, because that obviously doesn't help anybody. And it really, I think, did change the course of our relationship. I think that mindset that we had from the beginning made us better as partners, and we have been through really, really, really hard times, like in terms of our relationship and fighting, and I'm sure we have not been through the worst of it because we haven't had kids, we haven't been together for that long. But I really do think that the mindset of like, number one, we're committed to each other no matter what, like we're just never breaking up, that's just not an option. And number two, like we're always trying to make each other better. I think that those things have made it work. I genuinely think those are the only things that have made it work, because I think a lot of people who are 19 who want to get married, they might just be like, oh, I'm just in love with you, like I just really love you and care about you, so like let's get married. But Emmett and I were more just like, we are good for each other, we know we're the best people for each other. He pushes me to be my best and I push him to be his best. So if any of you guys are dating somebody right now and you feel like hopeless because you feel like it's not working, when you find someone who treats you well, it's gonna be obvious. The person who you're gonna be with forever, if you find that person, like they're not gonna make you confused and they're not gonna make you feel bad about yourself. It's as simple as that. If they don't make you feel secure and safe and make you a better person, it might not be the right relationship for you. So I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but my young marriage and young relationship and whatever has gone really, really well, and it's the best decision I have ever made. So yeah, that's the story of how I found an amazing man. But I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in a couple days.